This is 7 National News, and in our top story, passengers with an Emirates ID can now use the e-gate at Dubai's Airport Terminal 3. That's according to a spokesperson at the GDRFA Dubai. It was mentioned that the General Directorate of Residency and Foreigners Affairs has completed the activation of electronic e-gate services through the use of Emirates identity cards at the arrival wing of Terminal 3 at the airport. Major General Obaid Muhair bin Surur, the Deputy Director General of the GDRFA, was quoted in a local daily saying that the activation of this project is important, as this will ensure a smooth and easy process for all travellers. It was revealed that the Emirates ID cards can now use the service without the need for prior registration, which will benefit all citizens and residents of the UAE at the arrival wing. It was further added that while the first phase of activation will be in Terminal 1, 2 and 3 at both the arrival and departure wings, this will soon also be activated in all other terminals as well. Officials also highlighted that the service only requires a valid Emirates ID. There are currently 28 e-gates in the arrival wing at the Terminal 3. The UAE Ministry of Interior is urging residents travelling to neighbouring countries by car this summer to drive carefully and also to follow the laws of the visiting country. The Ministry of Interior authorities were quoted saying that adhering to each country's traffic laws will help prevent accidents and also legal trouble for UAE citizens and residents. It also issued a brochure which is available at the ministry's various checkpoints to educate travellers about possible violations on the roads. The ministry also called on motorists to ensure that vehicle and driving licences are valid and that children are not seated in the front of the vehicle. Other safety measures include wearing a seatbelt at all times and adhering to speed limits on the roads of all GCC countries, especially as Saudi Arabia has very harsh penalties for speedsters. It was also mentioned that applicable fines for speeding in Saudi Arabia range from 100 to 900 rials, and the vehicle may also be impounded in some cases. Traffic authorities also asked travellers not to modify licensed vehicles or take off engine silencers. It was also urged that motorists should try not to drive in the late hours of the night and also take care to avoid stray camels. The RTA is gearing up to launch an integrated mobility platform here in Dubai, enabling customers easy access to all mass transit systems through a single smart app. Mata Al-Taya, the General Director and Chairman of the Board of Executive Directors of the Road and Transport Authority, made the announcement, stating that the RTA's multimodal transit systems, including the metro, tram, buses, marine transit means and taxis, will be integrated with transit systems of other entities in Dubai, such as limo services, the Palm monorail and Dubai Trolley. It was added that at a later stage, the services might extend to include electronic bookings of taxi services such as Uber and Careem, all integrated into one app, enabling the user to book the service and pay the fare. He added that the project will be undertaken in several phases, expected to be concluded in 2017. Phase 1 includes developing the technological infrastructure of the platform. Phase 2 covers integrating electronic taxi booking services and establishing agreements with a number of partners. And Phase 3 is concerned with holding agreements with most stakeholders to integrate them into the platform and to also establish the payment process offered by the platform using Knoll cards. A recent medical survey has revealed that couples marrying first or second degree relatives are a major cause of a high infertility rate in the Gulf, as more than 20% of children in the GCC have consanguineous parents. According to the study, there are unique and specific factors leading to a higher infertility rate in the GCC, including social and cultural factors which are very different from Western ones. 4 of these factors that have a significant impact are higher prevalence of couples who are related to each other, vitamin D deficiency, obesity, and the desire to have larger families. The study further highlights that there are differences in treating GCC patients compared to Western ones due to cultural and social issues. Moreover, it was proven that parental consanguinity has been associated with both male and female infertility in multiple cases. In females, it prematurely reduces the ovarian reserve, and amongst males, it causes chromosome Y abnormalities, leading to genetic sperm defects. According to the author of the study, who's the medical director of IVI Fertility Middle East, by the age of 20, women born of consanguineous parents have an extremely low ovarian reserve, which is normally found in women from the age of 40.
First of all, the lack of sun exposure, the vitamin D deficiency, is decreasing significantly the number of eggs. So every woman has a certain number of eggs, and it seems that you have a chronic lack of vitamin D and sun exposure. The quality and the quantity, the number of the oocytes of the eggs declines significantly. The next factor is the marriage within the family. In the medical terminology, we call it consanguinity. Now, initially, we thought if you marry your cousin, that you do not have any fertility issues, and that's the cause. If you would marry your cousin, you have even more children than couples who do not marry their cousins. So the couple itself doesn't have any problems. What we are observing is that the first generation, their offsprings, they do have infertility problem. Every woman has a certain number of eggs, and what we're observing is that if your parents are first-degree cousins, that the daughters have a significantly reduced number of eggs. Last but not least, we know that the UAE, especially all the GCC countries actually, they are dealing and they are facing a big problem with obesity. And we also know that obesity, being overweight, in male and female has a huge impact, with male in the sperm production, quality and quantity, and in female with ovulation, endometrial receptivity, and also genetic information of the oocytes. So basically, we can conclude that this part of the world is facing three causes of infertility, which is completely different than in the Western world: obesity, vitamin D deficiency, and parental consanguinity.
Additionally, the study pointed out that parents who are related also have the risk of having a baby with genetic disorders. The doctor also recommends genetic testing for carriers, regardless of pregnancy occurring naturally or through IVF, given the fact that a large percentage of people in the GCC are prone to genetic abnormalities. Generally, parents only realise that they're carriers of serious genetic disorders after an affected child is born. Genetic disorders can't be cured, but they can be prevented, and with a simple blood test, couples can be assured of a healthy pregnancy. If both partners test positive in a carrier genetic test with the same gene mutation, the recommendation is to undertake an IVF procedure and eliminate a genetically affected embryo through PGS screening.
Another interesting thing is not only to look to the chromosomes, but look also to the genes. So every human being has around 25,000 genes, and every healthy human being has, on average, between 2 to 3 abnormal genes. But you don't know it because you're healthy. But imagine you carry an abnormal gene, and your husband is carrying, coincidentally, the same abnormal gene. So you would have 25% risk of having a genetically abnormal child. Now, if you are not relatives with your husband, the risk of having an abnormal child is not high. But if you marry in a society, which is in UAE, you have 60% first or second degree consanguinity, it would be highly recommended to do this, what we call CGT, carriership genetic testing. Within these 25,000 genes, you identify how many genes, bad genes you carry, and we can detect an abnormal embryo and prevent this happening.
The rate of serious crimes in Sharjah fell by 56% in the first half of the year. That's compared to the same period last year. The Criminal Investigation Department at Sharjah Police was quoted in a local daily saying that the rate of the crimes recorded against unknown suspects in the Emirate, however, increased by 86%. Police officials attributed the drop in the crime rate to the public, who have cooperated with them in various cases, and also because they have intensified patrols in industrial, commercial and residential areas to ensure security and to prevent possible crimes. It was also highlighted that the department is working to upgrade its work system based on the requirements of a security situation. Sharjah Police has urged the community members in the Emirate to continue their cooperation with them, the police, in order to curb crimes and achieve common social responsibility. The world's first solar-powered plane, Solar Impulse 2, has taken off from Cairo and is on its last leg of its historic round-the-globe flight to Abu Dhabi, and it's scheduled to reach the UAE's capital after 48 hours. The globe-trotting solar plane SI-2 finally started its flight today from the Egyptian capital at 3:28 a.m. UAE time, with Bertrand Piccard, the co-pilot and co-founder, at the controls. The plane is now flying towards the UAE capital from where it started its epic journey in March last year, and is expected to land after 48 hours, depending on weather conditions. The Masdar-backed solar plane has overcome high winds in Cairo after a 10-day-long wait due to bad weather and sickness, and it was previously scheduled to depart on the 17th of July, since landing there on the 13th of the month. The Solar Impulse team was quoted in a local daily saying that the last leg of this journey is promised to be a challenging one, in particular due to hot weather conditions prevailing across the Middle East. It was mentioned that the current hot temperatures are testing the limits of the plane's design requirements, causing thermals and turbulences at high altitudes, while also forcing the pilot to use an oxygen mask for longer periods of time, many days in a row. SI-2's historic flight can be tracked live online thanks to the 8 live cameras in the cockpit, in the Mission Control Center in Monaco, and on the ground. And finally, those looking to apply for the Etisalat Award for Arabic Children's Literature are being encouraged to not miss the August deadline, according to organisers. Sponsored by the Etisalat Group and organised by the UAE Board on Books for Young People, the award's 8th edition is open to receive entries up until the end of August. The Arabic Children's Literature Awards are made up of 5 main categories, worth a total of $1 million, and looks to support the children's books industry in the country. The categories include Children's Book of the Year, worth 300,000 dirhams, Young Adult Book of the Year, valued at 200,000, and Best Text, Best Illustration, and Best Production categories worth 1,000 dirhams, 100,000 dirhams each. 200,000 from the award is dedicated to organising workshops to build Arabic people capacities in writing and illustration, according to the organisers. The award is divided into 2 main categories: children's books targeting children aged 0 to 12 years, and young adult books tailored for the 13 to 18-year age group. The winners will be announced at the opening ceremony of the 35th edition of the Sharjah International Book Fair on November the 2nd.